Can any one of you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So welcome back to the very first class of this business analyst. As I told you guys yesterday, we will be doing a very basic training of the BA. So the course content I have created is based upon two things. So one, this will be a pure basic thing that I want you guys to learn and see what is happening, and then based on your confidence, your learning, we will move towards the intermediate level of the training. The other part of the consideration is most of us have never worked into this IT industry. So there are a lot of terms, technical jargons that you are not aware of those, things. So I'm going to go ahead and start very, initial level, very small details. I think except Wasim, no one has worked in the IT industry. So Wasim, you have to bear with us a little bit. So I'm going to go and start from the very basic. So if you know, that's good. You can help us learn more, improve things. Otherwise, you can just revise things. And as we grow gradually from probably from the upcoming classes, we will have things in detail. But this class will be, again, a kind of an introduction class, but not our introduction. This will be like the introduction of the business analysis world. What exactly is this, So let's get started then. So agenda of today's training will be, we will have some objectives, about the training, and then we will discuss the success mantra, as in what we should be doing to ensure we are learning and we are improving and we are actually utilizing all these skill sets in our career, And then there will be some WH concepts. We discussed this yesterday on a very helicopter view, but we will discuss in detail today. Some common terms that you should be aware of. Throughout the course, we will be using some of the common terms, and I want you guys to be aware what those terms are so that you're not confused when I'm using those terms. Say an example, probably I will be using BA instead of business analyst. So you should not be confused. That was one example. Now we will discuss a little bit about the software development lifecycle, which is SDLC. What exactly is this? So in SDLC, today, we will be only understanding the different phases of SDLC and what we do on a really high level. In the upcoming classes, we will discuss in detail, like, as I said, there's 6 to 8 phases of SDLC. And now don't ask how 6 or how 8, we'll discuss in detail later on. So in the further classes, we will have to discuss each of the stages in detail with the real world example. Today, we'll just try to understand what is SDLC and what does it mean. What is the full form and how are we working as a BA during each of the phases of SDLC? And again, this will be on higher level. If you do not understand something, don't worry, relax. We will have many classes where we can discuss these things. Actually, throughout the BA course, we will be focusing on SDLC phases. So you're good, don't worry. Now, I'll also give you a little bit idea on the project life cycle. This is different than software development life cycle. For some people, this is same. But how this is different and what is for you here, we'll discuss in detail in the upcoming slides. So what is the objective of this class? So if I can read that for you guys, you will understand the basic of business analysis. I said, I'm again using the word basics, So you will learn from the start what is BA is all about. And then, as I said, we will discuss about software development lifecycle, a basic understanding. And then you will also get some basic understanding of the project lifecycle. And I'll give you some of the keys that you can practice, you can adopt, implement in your practices, and then probably you can go and learn more. And you can use those during your interviews or during your job. So whatever you are going to learn will be helping you in the interviews and in your actual work when you are onboarded and working somewhere. So pay attention to this one and feel free to ask questions if you have any. You will also familiarize with some of the industrial common terminologies, as I just gave you one example like BA, we have a lot. And I will not cover all the terms here in this course, but to start with, I'll give you some of the terms that you should be aware. What does it mean and why I'm using those terms a lot? Now, I will also help you understand what is the interviewer is expecting from you when you're answering the questions. In other words, what is something the interviewer would like to listen or hear when she's asking you the question and you're answering. So you have to focus on all those points. So as Samira requested yesterday, we have to, if we can also include some real-time interview preps and the real-time projects. I just thought, okay, let me at least start from the beginning, so that, well, by the time we close this course, we end this course, the whole course, hopefully you will have already ready with that. If not, we can see if we have time and commitment to go for the separate classes for the interview prep. But for now, let me at least give you a little flavor. Now, obviously, you will learn how you can utilize all those skills, how you can grow your knowledge, and how you can, use them in the real-time projects. I'll also give you some of the exam questions and our kind of sample questions here. When I'm saying exam questions, and I'm referring interviews and written test. As of, I think nowadays, these days, they do not have any written test. But before, when I started my career like 15 years ago, they used to have a basic screening, and then you used to have a written test. And then once you qualify the written test, they will go ahead with the Viva and all those interview processes. These days, I'm not sure if they have this thing there, but just in case, you should know a little bit, flavor of those, the questions. And I'll also give you some important tips. At the end of the course, I'll give you some important tips. So please be present, be available, and interact with me. So these tips will be really important for you, So, all right, so moving to the next. Now, some important points that you have to know. You do not have to memorize anything except some formulas. The mathematical formulas you cannot, you have to memorize no matter what. So unless if you see any formulas, do not try to memorize anything. Do not try to, go ahead and spend your time memorizing. This will not help you, trust me. The basic funda is you have to try to understand the concepts. Do not try to memorize anything. Just in case I want you to memorize something, you will see this small icon, you see it here. So in each of the topics, whenever you see this small red kind of icon, that is something you have to memorize, because there's no other way but to memorize things, like a mathematical formula. You have to memorize no matter what. So whenever you see this small red icon, you have to memorize those things. Otherwise, you can just try to understand and ignore everything. Even though when you're memorizing, obviously you have to understand first and then you have to memorize. Some key terms that you might say in this course, or maybe in the upcoming courses, the classes. So in every class, I'll give you some of the key terms which are broadly used in the IT industry, in the development team and the managers, and you will hear me using all these terms. Scope creep, goal plating, prototype, scope baseline, triple costing, blah blah blah. Now, what exactly are these? I'll give you a very high level idea right now, but during the courses, we will discuss each of these in detail, probably today and probably in the upcoming classes. So in the next classes, you will see a different key terms, So you just have to be, you see this red icon here. I want you to memorize this thing, but you have to understand what is scope creep before you can memorize these things. So having said, if you understand, probably you don't have to memorize things. But this is important for you to recall, memorize, and review this every day. Because when you go to the interviews, when you go to the real-time work, you might hear these terms a lot and you will feel lost if you do not understand things, right? So what is scope creep? On a very high level, scope creep is something which was not agreed, but you're trying to add or remove something during the work. Let's say there was one of the requirements you discussed with business approved this one, you documented, everything is fine. And now during the development, your development team is working on those requirements. And now business is coming to you and asking you to add or remove something, or, do some changes in the baseline or approved scope. And you're accepting that, right? You're accepting without going through the proper process of change management. Now, what is the change management process? We will discuss in detail. For now, to understand, you're not following any of the company's processes, and you're simply, because you have a good relationship with the business, you're saying, okay, I'll go ahead and do this one. So that is what we call technically a scope creep. And that is a big no. You should not be doing any scope creep. Doesn't matter who the person is all about. So am I really saying you should not be accepting any new changes? No, I'm not. There's a way of accepting or implementing new changes. When we work in traditional waterfall, it has different stages and different steps. When you work in the agile way of working, as it has a different way of handling all those changes. We will review and learn in detail in the further classes. For now, for you to understand, scope creep is something adding, removing, or changing the project scope without going through the company standards or the policies of your organizations, just to make someone happy. Don't do this one. It's a big no. Gold plating is the same thing, but there's a difference. In scope creep, business comes to you asking for changes. In gold plating, you or your team believes if we can add this thing to the scope, business will be really happy. Say an example, business is asking A, and you think A+1 will be really helpful for the business, even though it does not impact my time, it does not impact my the quality, it does not impact my the cost. So why should not I go ahead and give customer A+1? So this A+1 thinking is a gold plating. It is trying to please someone to give them something more that they did not actually ask. So in technical world, we call it gold plating. So you should not be doing it. It's a big no. In interviews, interview most probably will ask you, how do you make sure you're not doing gold plating, or how do you make sure you're not doing a scope creep, and how do you make sure you have a full control over scope creep and gold plating? Or other words, they can ask you, okay, can you give us an example of a scope creep and gold plating? So you should understand these terms before you can answer those questions. These are very simple, basic questions. If you don't know, probably they will not have good confidence in you, and the interview will go in the wrong way, in different ways. Prototype is nothing but a diagram. So write some diagrams, draw something using your like pen and paper, or maybe some of the tools, fancy tools, and you show them. That's called prototyping. Scope baseline is nothing but something which is being approved, reviewed. I captured some of the requirement, documented, reviewed with business, and business has approved, signed off, saying, okay, this is exactly I want. Now you can proceed further with the development. So anything which is approved, signed is called a baseline. So when you're signing the scope, when I'm saying a scope as in the requirement, what is in the scope that we have to complete? You capture the requirement, you do the scoping, and then you have business signed it off. Once that is signed officially, that version is called baseline. So anything on top of the baseline will go through some of the processes. You have to follow some of the processes, and the process will change depending upon what mode of software development you're doing, agile or waterfall model. So we'll discuss that in detail. For now, scope baseline is nothing but the signed off version. That is a baseline. And a baseline could be in anything, in the scope, in time, cost, whatever. It's just something has been reviewed and approved officially. Triple constant, I will not discuss it right now. When we go and review how do we capture the requirement, what is in scope, what is not, I'll give you very detailed in triple constant. I'll give you a good example to understand. Triple constant for now is like your scope, time, and quality. If any one of these will change, the remaining two will get impacted. If you're changing the scope, probably the timeline will change, or probably it will also impact the cost, right? I think I said quality. Quality is now there. It's the time, cost, and scope. Change anything, and this will change the remaining two. So I'll give you a really detailed example of this thing when we go proceed further in different classes. Brainstorming, you all know what exactly is this, but I'm not going to talk it right now because we have a separate class when we will discuss how do we capture the requirements and what are the different processes and what we should be doing. Brainstorming is one of them. We will discuss in detail. Focus group is exactly the same thing. Facilitated group, the same thing we can discuss along with brainstorming. Benchmarking is nothing but to set some great examples. I did something that is actually setting a benchmark to the other people, to the other teams within the organizations. So everybody will be trying to achieve at least that benchmark, and they will go beyond from there to do something additional. So benchmark is something, the best work that has been done so far, and that has become a benchmark for one team, for the org. Now the other teams, they will have to at least try to achieve that benchmark. Something you have done awesome. Now, beyond that will be another benchmark, but that is the current benchmark. It's like setting some records. Expert judgment is nothing but to talk to the senior folks, experienced folks, your development team, anyone who has expertise, who is an SME, who knows about that subject. Could be anything. If you are capturing some of the requirements and you have to talk to someone to get more details, you're actually consulting some experts and asking their judgment on those requirements. So expert judgment will be very important for you throughout your career in software development lifecycle in every phases. Schedule and time management is very important. Time is like, it's a pretty simple thing. How do you manage your time to do a lot of things? Now, this schedule management, time management will be in two sides. So one, the way you work, the way you manage your different works in your time. And the other thing would be, what is the schedule, what is the time it looks like to complete the project? Both things, we will discuss both. I know you may have some questions, so I'll give you a chance to ask, but not now. Let me move to the next question slide. This is very important. What is success mantra? How would you ensure you're getting success and you're achieving things in life as a BA? How are you contributing to the company? How you are learning personally and professionally along with the company? So per my belief, these are the ones I have personally tried, practiced in my career, and it works. Success mantra is not common for everyone. You may have your own way of succeeding in something, learning thing. Do whatever works best for you. Do whatever makes you productive. Do whatever improves your productivity and help you learn. It's up to you. But for me, these are the something I've always tried and helped me a lot. So hard work and smart work. You have to have a good balance of the hard work and the smart work. If you're lucky working 12 hours a day and you're not doing the smart work, I don't think that will be really helpful for you to grow. So you have to have some smart work and hard work balance. Now, what exactly is these? These are soft skills, that I cannot teach you. You have to develop on your own. How do you do things differently? Every team works differently, every person works differently. So what is the different factor in you? You should not be following the other people like a cattle. You should not be like going with the flow. If something is really proven and great and have given great results, go ahead, follow them. Otherwise, you need to find your own smart way of working things, doing things differently. I'm not going to discuss more on this thing because everyone knows what does it mean by hard work and smart work, but during the courses, probably I'll get an opportunity to give you the real-time examples of hard work and the smart work. Time management, I just told you what is time management. Confidence is very important. You need to have confidence in you. If you're not confident, probably this will be problematic for you. If you have some questions but you're not asking, why are you not asking? Probably you may think I'm going to ask some silly question. People will make fun of me, or probably I will create some enemies here. Probably I'm going to kill someone's time, or I have no idea if I really understand things or not. So this is psychological effects. You don't have to worry about all those things. Any question is a question. No question is a silly question. If I did not understand, is a big thing for me. This might be really easy for someone, but for me it is big because I did not understand. So what should I be doing? I need to have some confidence to raise my voice and ask questions. Hey, sorry to ask you, but it looks like I did not understand this correctly. I followed you until this time, but from here, I think I'm lost. I was with you up until this point in time, and then I feel lost. So would you be able to help me understand once again? It's not only with me, with everyone. Doesn't matter. If you ask questions, you learn. If you do not ask questions, you will never learn. So you have to have that confidence in you and build that confidence. Now, again, how do we build the confidence? It all depends upon your knowledge and your confidence and your practice of the things. If you practice a lot, you will get confidence by default. And as long as you're learning, you will build your confidence. So just keep learning. The only funda is keep learning, keep building your confidence, interact with the people, ask questions like you guys along with you. You don't need me. Let's say anyone, if you has any questions and you don't want to ask me, don't worry, just ask yourself. You guys can create one separate rooms for you guys for the training, for the practices. It's always better to work together. So teamwork is always great. You guys can have one separate group created somewhere, I don't know what platform, and then you guys can share your learnings, ask questions from each other. You found something which is very important and you wanted to share with other team members, go ahead and do that. So this is how you gain confidence and you learn more every day. You need to have self-belief and self-confidence and faith. You need to have faith in you. If you believe I cannot do this thing, you have already lost the battle, trust me. So it's like your unconscious minds always gives you trouble. but unconscious mind does not understand things well. It just sees things and reacts accordingly. So it is very important for you to train your unconscious mind that I have faith, I know I can do this thing. Start saying yourself, yes, I can do this thing. Nothing is impossible for you, and see the difference. This is psychological effect. I'm telling you, it's very important. Your unconscious mind does not know what will happen when you go ahead and cut yourself with a knife. But the moment you start thinking, I have to cut my hand using the knife, say yourself like 6 7 times, and your unconscious mind will start training you, will start encouraging you to go ahead and cut your hand. That unconscious mind does not understand the pain. Same way, if you treat yourself positively, your unconscious mind will start training you for doing those positive things. So attract the positive waves. Be always positive and start saying yourself, yes, I can do this. It's very simple for me. I'm the best, and so you will be the best, trust me. That's what I do always. Read and gain information. Reading is very important. You have to read a lot. But from when, I'll let you know. From today, do not read anything. This is your future task. You have to read a lot. Read at least 2 BA articles every day, and what sources you should be following, I'll let you know. For now, just stick to the training and do nothing. And the day I ask you, okay, now you guys ready for the other trainings, you can go ahead and start reading all those articles, review with yourself, discuss along with yourselves, and try to clear the doubts. And if you still have any questions, you can always come back to me. Even after the training, I'm always happy to answer your questions and help clear your doubts. Revision is very important. You learn new things and do not revise. You don't do revisions. It's gone. It's a human nature. We tend to forget things. If I learn something today, if I do not revise it tomorrow or day after, I'm pretty much it's going to happen that you will forget some or all whatever you have learned. So revision is very important. Revision could be reading things back, doing some practices, doing some real-time work. So this is very important. So these are success mantra for me. If you really have to do something in your career, this is important for you, and you have to have these things in practice. Now, as I said, you can add as much points, whatever is working for you. For me, I believe these are the important things, and I personally do these things every day. Whoever knows me personally, you know me, how much I work and how much I read things, how much I learn new things every day. So this is very important for you. WH concepts, what exactly is this? We have discussed this before yesterday as well on a high level. So now I'm just giving you a very little tip. You are a business analyst. So what is your role and responsibilities? Your role mainly focuses on understanding the business requirement. When I'm saying understanding, that means you have to know what business needs and you have to document those business requirements. Now, where will you document? That depends what method of the software development you are in. If you're in traditional waterfall, you may have some other tools to capture, starting with Microsoft Office, Excel, whatever, or some fancy tools. If you are into the agile way of working, if you're doing Scrum, Kanban, Stream, whatever, you will have a different tools. Some of the very famous tools in agile is Jira, Confluence, all those things you will be using. So as a BA, your role is limited to understand the business requirement. And what is the business requirement? Business requirement could be anything. If you see around you, your world, a lot of things are going on. Like you're going to shop something in the shopping mall or any of the stores. You use your credit card, you tap it, sometimes you swipe it, and it generates one invoice and bills that gives you, they have some register where they enter all those items and it does some calculation and gives you, okay, what is the tax you're going to pay, what is the total amount, what is the discount, blah, blah, all those things. What do you think? How does all these things happen? There's a big IT folks, people like you and me, are supporting all these applications. We cannot think of using all this without those IT supports. So everything is a project for you. Let's say if you're working for the store, you're working for Walmart, Walmart has like POS machines, in the stores, walking POS machines, the registers, they have online shopping, all those things. Whatever you see is being supported by the IT experts. Let's say you are a BA. What kind of requirement you can have? You can have a lot of requirements. You can have the graphical user interface requirements that we call it GUI. It's like, how should the page look like? Do we have to make this button red? Do we have to reduce the size of the button? Do we have to move it to left and right? Okay, there's a customer name and I see the customer name data. There's a customer phone number, I see the phone number. Now, right now it is showing you the full phone number. Tomorrow, customer, the business, the Walmart can ask you, I don't want to show the full phone number on the invoice. Can we mask it? Can we have like starting with 201 and then star and then something? So that will be a new requirement for you. So you will be the BA who will go ahead and work with the business to understand what they need, and then you have to document all those things, review with the team, and take it forward. Now, what is the process? We will have a separate detailed class on those processes. How are we going to capture the requirement and what should we do, what we should not be doing? For now, I gave you the background so that I can explain you what is this WH concept. So whatever requirement you're getting, whatever requirement. So this meeting will end in 10 minutes, so we'll have to rejoin. So whatever the requirement you're going to capture, the two things you have to do. The first thing, you have to focus on first three whys. What is the requirement all about? Why this is needed and when? What is the target date by business and customer? First three things. During your requirement gathering, you do not have to focus on how you will be doing. The moment you start processing the solutioning part, you will mix up things and then you will not be able to collect the requirement. So when you're capturing the requirement, you have to focus first three things. What is the requirement all about? What customer needs? Then why is the requirement has come up? Why customer needs it? And I told you why. When you ask why, you will be in a better situation to help customer to deep down of the requirement. Sometimes customer is asking something else, but actually they want something else. So when you ask them why, you would be able to help them understand. Say I took the example of the cell phone. I'm a business, I'm asking you, I need a cell phone that has 10 inches of a screen and 250 gig RAM, right? But when you ask customer, okay, I got it, this is your requirement, but why do you need it? So probably when I answer why, you would easily be knowing that, okay, this guy needs the tab, not the mobile. So you can help me, sir, I think you need tab. Let me explain you why. Let me explain you how. So this way you will help business and you also help yourself and your team's time. Now, what is the target date? This is very important. You understand the requirement, but the date could be really, really aggressive. Business may ask you, I want something tomorrow or by this evening or by next weekend. Is that something really possible? Probably the requirement is possible, that can be done, is feasible, but the time is not feasible. So it is very important for you to ask why. Otherwise, you will be just killing your time and the team's time and everyone's time, and there will be like huge fight, arguments, people will be on fire. How can we do these things in 5 days? Your development team will kill you, trust me. So you need to understand things why, and do not commit anything. When you are capturing the requirement, do not promise or do not commit anything. Just say, okay, right now I'm just capturing the requirement, and I'll let you know what is possible, what is not possible on the timeline, everything I'll get back to you, not now. And then when you go back to your business, go back to your development team, your development team, your manager, the remaining two, where and how you will discuss. How is nothing but the solution part, and where probably customer can give you where they want, and there may be some limitations at your end as well, so you may not be able to deliver at that the customer desired locations. So you'll have to discuss that as well with your development team. How and where can we do these things? It's like on-site, off-site. On-site as in, you have to go to the customer's premises and work there. Off-site as in, we'll develop here in our office and then we'll deploy in the customer's premises. So now don't worry if you do not understand this development, on-site, off-site, don't worry. We will discuss those things in detail. For now, for you to understand is, what is the location we have to deliver that project or requirement, or the piece of the requirement, and how are we going to do those things? When you say how, that is, you're actually working on finding the solutions, feasibility and possibility. So you have to make sure when you're capturing the requirement, do not discuss where and how, otherwise you will get yourself confused and the business as well. Business has to do nothing. How are you achieving these things? Business has to do nothing, trust me. How are you achieving things? Business has just to see if you are delivering those things or not. How is your problem, not there. So just focus on what, why, and when. Okay. Next is some business, some common terms that you will be hearing. Business. When I'm saying business, who is business? Business is actually nothing but your customer, who is actually giving you the project. They are the business for you. So some people call them customers, some people call them business. They both are same. They are the one who are providing you, giving you the requirements. Sponsors, someone who is paying for that, right? Let's say there's one team who is giving you the requirement, but there's maybe another team who will pay you for that requirement. Or in some of the cases, business and sponsors may be the same group of people. It may be maybe one person or maybe a group of teams, teams or a group of people. So business is someone who is giving you the requirement. A sponsor is someone who is actually funding those requirements. You need some amount to work, so who will pay you for that? So the sponsors will be paying you. Now, sponsors might be from the business end and might be from your internal team as well. You're working for company A. Company B is your client. Company B is giving you the requirement. So company B is business for you. Now, probably company B is paying to your company A some department, and that department within your company A is actually paying you, sponsoring you for this project. So for you, in this case, business will be company B and a sponsor will be the team in company A that you are working currently in. So just to understand the difference, the sponsors are the people or the group of people or the team who is actually funding that project. And that could be internal and external. If you ask, can business be sponsors? Yes, of course, they can be sponsors. That depends how your company has, the work agreement. Now, stakeholders. What I'm saying is stakeholders, which is very common terms you will always hear in your IT industry. Everywhere, people will be referring to stakeholders. So it has two things to understand. When someone is referring you stakeholders, they're basically referring you the key stakeholders, the high-level people, maybe the directors, senior directors, CEOs, or all those top-class people. So when you hear this term stakeholders, probably in simple words, I would assume they are actually referring the key stakeholders. But who are the actual stakeholders? If I have to define the stakeholders, stakeholder is every entity, every person, every team, everything who is directly or indirectly associated with that project is a stakeholders. I am someone who is funding. I may be one of the key stakeholders. I am someone who is actually giving you the requirement. I am also one of the key stakeholders. I am someone who is going ahead and capturing and understanding the requirement as a BA. I am also a stakeholder. I am someone who will actually develop those things. I am also a stakeholder. I'm a development stakeholder. There might be someone who is monitoring things, is also a stakeholder. There might be someone who is not directly interacting with you, but actually going ahead and using those applications that you will be building. That user will be your stakeholders. Account departments, human resource, sales, marketing. I have developed some product that my sales team will be selling in the market. They're also the stakeholders. The person who is buying, the company who is buying, the person who's going to use that is also a stakeholders. So everyone who is directly, indirectly associated with the project is a stakeholder, in simple words. But as I said, in your company, if someone is referring a stakeholder, probably they're referring the key stakeholders. Okay, MOM. What is MOM? Minutes of meeting. You will hear minutes, you will hear meetings, not meeting, actually minutes and MOM. So minutes is a very common term people use nowadays. And what is this? It's nothing but to capture the high level, the main points of the discussion. Let's say you're going ahead and meeting with business to capture the requirement, and you're writing some notes, what we discussed, what was in scope, what was not in scope, the high level. Now, this minutes is not your actual requirement document. This is just to capture the high level discussions, and some actions. Probably we discussed 5 major things. I noted it down. Out of 5 major things, there's one action that I have to work when I go back to my desk, or probably customer has to revert to you with something. So there's one action. So in the minutes, you will write the main points that you have discussed and what is the action. Now, what does this minutes look like? What is the format that we have? How do we write? We'll have a separate class on those things. We'll discuss in detail. BA and PM. BA is business analyst, PM is project manager or program manager. So these are the common terms you will always hear, during your meetings. Next, before I go, any questions here?
Sahid bhai, in the I had one question. Between the sponsor and the stakeholder is something that we need to address to, or the person who is going to be our first contact?
I think I lose you. Can you repeat your question? I don't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can. Please, can you repeat your question?
When you mentioned there is a business, a sponsors, and a stakeholder. So who is going to give us who is hiring? We need to know, are they will introduce themselves as a sponsor or business, or we need to know who they will be?
Good question. So this is one of your roles and responsibility to find out who are the key business, who are the key sponsors, not sponsors. This is something you don't have to worry about that. This will be your financing and all, but who are the key stakeholders, who are the key business, that is your role that you have to find out. So there's one common question you will be asked during interviews. What are the first initial things you will do when you get a new project? Or if I hire you as a BA, what are the first couple of things you will do?